This is the Grassroots Education and Entertainment Network, your number one source of information, education, and entertainment. For honest, responsible, and dependable information, we stand supreme. To stay focused, inspired, and relaxed, choose green.
Ekabo, and hi to all the viewers. Today, we're going to have our usual host, Baba Iwaliwa, and our discussion today is going to be concerning the upcoming ICIRTT election. All right, so I would let the host of the show start the show to open the discussion on the ICIRTT. We're going to discuss what it is, what it's about, and most importantly, we're going to get into some information concerning the upcoming elections and the various member shrines and their delegates, etc., etc. Baba, is over to you.
All right, I'll say Abaraboye, Aboshishi, Rakabal, we say Prince Ola the Mare, the Baba Remila, Bara, Akboni Regun, Akoda, Sheda, you say all praise Mojuba, Sale Odu from Oshe Otura, Akin Shu, Akin Okun, Oshe Tere is the name given to alligator, Pepper in Ketulan. Ajan Lawe is the name of Kolanut in Ilawe, Iketelan. They were asked to bring alcohol. They responded that alcohol does not make Ebo to be acceptable. They were asked to bring palm wine. They said that it has impure sediments. They were asked to bring cool water. This is the time my speech is acceptable. This is the time my speech becomes blessing. They were the declaration of Ifa to Kolobo, who wished to receive blessings from the mouth of Igbe, the snail. They said, Kolobo, pray for yourself by yourself. Kolobo, pray for wealth. Pray for spouse, pray for children, pray for all Iwe, pray for longevity, and add it to all other Iwe. Kolobo, pray for yourself, Kolobo. So that's Oshe Otura. It's a prayer. Sometimes we also have to look at ourselves as remember this program, this discussion is really for us to take a personal look at our application to the practice of Ifa and our practice in the share of our aspect in Trinidad and Tobago as we connect it with our brothers and sisters in the homeland and the world at large. I like to say, from the past discussion, it has brought a lot of people to the attention to ask questions. And it goes to say a lot of people are really seeking the wisdom of Ifa. And I think the ICIRTT chapter, the International Council for Ifa Religion, Trinidad and Tobago chapter, would be the real driving force or the moving force to really bring the wisdom and understanding of Ifa to all practitioners of Ifa, Egun, and all aspects of our tradition in Trinidad and Tobago, even us that practice the Trinidad aspect of Shango worship, which we call Orisa, will get a better understanding as how we can grow as a community and build a better nation with the wisdom of Ifa. All right. So, as we are moving in this discussion about the International Council Ifa Religion, I think, we have a kind of culture in Trinidad that people are say, there's certain people who talk of things and people who can't talk of things. But being a registered member and who has been active in making contributions to where it has reached, if not financially, but in terms of verbally and sharing of ideas, I think that give us a foot inside that we could speak on behalf of our organization that we are part of. And as they move forward in forming the executive council, I think people should seek more interest and try to get more involved, especially with the leaders of their shrines who would have registered and get more involved in the shrine contribution towards the ICIRTT and, expand it beyond just an executive and looking for leadership, because without a community, there's no leadership. You may have titles, you may have people with positions, but without people to lead, you don't have a leader. All right. So I just I want to look at the preamble of the Constitution, just in terms of getting people to understand, because most time we as an African community, in a sense, we have organization that represent us, but it come like emancipation committees. They are the South Emancipation, they are the Emancipation Support Committee. It have other groups, and they we don't really see the purpose unless, well, you say we participate in the celebrations. But do we really go into the essence of what this organization really represents, that we could fully get involved? Because they just have business lectures, they just have workshops, they just have all kind of discussions. But most people just wait for the festivals and they come out and say, we're giving support. Right? So the preamble of the Constitution speaks of Ifa is the divine message of Olodumare to mankind. The religious aspect of this holy message consists of institutionalized systems of beliefs, values, and symbolic practices that provide human beings with a spiritual solution to their problems. The origin of this religious practice is as old as humanity itself. This religion was first developed and practiced by the Yoruba people of the southwestern part of Nigeria in Africa before it was spread all over the world. Ifa religion is the third fastest growing religious practice in Nigeria and the New World. Now,
Okay.
in its growing is really that it is just a reawakening of something that has been there that many of us in the diaspora would have lost, and even people in the homeland would have lost. There's a Baba, I would Tony made a statement sometime where he say, during slavery, it was the elders that was taken and the children was left behind. So if we go to reflect on that thought, a lot of the wisdom would have left West Africa and come into the diaspora, and a lot of the children would have been left behind, lost, because even when outside of slavery, you have to remember there was colonialism. There was the cut chopping up of Africa, the homeland, by the British, the Germans, the Italians, and the Belgians, the French. Even today, some of them are still trying to release themselves from such. So when you say we're going into Ifa, is really we are re-emerging into the wisdom of God that has been here from ever since the creation of mankind, that are connected through our DNA, through our ancestry, but we now get into the, let's say, the theoretical part, the esoteric parts of it, and when we look at what we practice, it is no different. So just as the preamble being, Ifa being the message of Olodumare, the divine message for mankind, is not only just about initiating to Ifa, but is also reawakening to that divine blessings that is there for us.
Okay. Well,
So
Baba,
now
I
as a constitution, all right.
yeah, go ahead.
Now the constitution, the constitution is that body which every member, every registered participant of the ICIRTT supposed to put a comfort in. So it shouldn't have no conflict or no issue problem within us coming together, because usually that has always be the main thing when we talk about let's come together.
Okay.
Who
Well,
to
well,
trust.
Baba, we have been working, myself and other people. I'm a member of the steering committee for the
Ah,
ICIRTT. Okay. Myself, together with the four other members, has been working very hard over a period of time, trying to get the various shrines and ilays and ijubos throughout the country
mm,
to come together to unify under this one umbrella organization. I think we have either 23 or 24 registered shrines,
mm,
right? I'm not going to call the name of all the shrines, right? But we have about 8 or 9 shrines that has nominated persons for the upcoming election
The
of the
executive, for the first
executive,
executive part. Yeah.
right? The first election for the executive.
Mm.
Because hopefully, after this executive is elected,
Mm.
then we would be able to go further into organizing the districts and appointing other officials for other positions in the
Mm.
executive other than just the few positions that we would be having people nominated already, because most of these people has already been nominated,
Yeah.
and they would be duly elected at the upcoming election. What's going to happen is each shrine that is registered is going to appoint a delegate and a substitute delegate, just in case the appointed delegate doesn't make it to the election. So these representatives are going to come out for the shrines, and they are going to vote on behalf of the shrine that they represent for the election. So, I mean, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make people aware
Yeah.
of the things that are going on in the community, because a lot of people are concerned, you know. We have been around all these years, you know, even we survived slavery and everything,
Mm.
practicing African tradition.
New traditions.
Yes. And, you know, yet still, there have been many efforts for us to come together and to form one governing organization. And the time is now upon us where we are going to have the opportunity to come together, to cooperate, and to be able to provide the necessary traction for the establishment of institutions and for us to be able to work together as a people.
Sure.
You know, this is a very important step, you know, and I think that it is important that everyone become involved. All right. We have, as I said, I believe it's 23 or 24 plus registered shrines. Right now, when I look at the nominations, right, what I've discovered is that there are quite a few shrines who were not able to send forward, you know, nominations, etc., etc., for whatever reason, right? Because we have various types of challenges, right? I believe one of the things that we've experienced is this technological divide,
Mm.
right? Because we have a lot of elders that are not, you know, very familiar with the latest technology. And then there are a lot of shrines that have a lot of young people who are able to help the elders, but then there are some shrines that don't have a lot of young people. All right. So even what we did is we made available forms that could have been picked up at Ela Shoka, where the nominations could have been made. We made available physical forms, you know. Um, so we are trying to work with what we have given the situations, and we're trying to also encourage, you know, members of shrines. If your shrine is not registered, speak with your elders, you know, speak with whoever is in charge, you know, and try to ask them, you know, whether or not they have registered with the ICIRTT, and you should please, you know, respectfully encourage them to so do. All right, now
Well,
go ahead, Baba.
all right. Well, first I'd like to give thanks to the steering committee because I think they have crossed hurdles that were long overdue to be crossed. All right. That we could even reach a point where we could say there is nominations towards an election. You know, that would have been a real challenge. Besides the other hindrances, there would have been, you know, internal egotistical, social, and power matters, hurdles that we had was across. Why should I come together? Why should I? Who going to be the head? Because that used to always be the questions. Who's going to be lead? But I think as we invite people that they should invest their time and energy towards this venture, I think we should at least allow them to understand the aims and the objectives of this body, right?
No, well,
Um,
then, Baba, then we would need to go into the Constitution just a little bit. As
Well,
we
you just
already read the preamble.
the preamble was read. I just the aims and objectives, so at least people go understand why should I, or at least they'll have something to say why I should not. You know, in terms of making a choice, they can look at what is this group about? What is the aim and objective of this chapter that is being formed? That we could say yes, we want to be part of, or why I should not be part of. Right? So I just in Article 7 of the Constitution, which speaks of aims and objectives. Article 7A, to serve as an umbrella to all IFA religious organizations in Trinidad and Tobago. I think this nothing really need to be clear up to us, but I think some people in terms of practitioners of the traditions, what is Ifa and what is that the Ifa religion? Ifa is Orisha, Egungun, Iami, Aje, Egbe, and all aspects of things that deals with the spirits of Olodumare that connects and that is communicated through Obi, through Ifa, Dida, Ifa, Opele, whatever. These are the energies that are connect with us. Even those who are not even initiated into the practice, they're also governed by Ifa, right? So when you think, when you say Ifa, it's not just those who initiate into Ifa, but the people of the world.
All right, Baba. I think
Uh,
I want to say something at this point, right?
yeah.
Because even though I'm a part of the steering committee
Mm,
for the ICIRTT, I sort of want to say something here, and I hope that is understood by the viewers.
mm,
Okay? What I'm saying is not in contradiction to any efforts being made to unify all practitioners of Ifa
mm,
Orisa in Trinidad and Tobago. Even though the organization is called the ICIRTT, right, which is the International Council for
also
Ifa
Ifa
Religion,
religion. Mm-hmm.
I want the viewers to understand that Ifa Orisa is a tradition
Mm,
of which religion is an aspect, one aspect. However, for those of us in the diaspora and even for those in the fatherland also, because of modernization, education, and all of these things, religion is something that is categorized in such a way that it has a function within institutions such as education institutions and
mm,
all these various types of institutions. So therefore, us being a part of the ICIR and us forming the branch of the ICIRTT, it would allow us to now be properly represented. Okay? So our desire to be a part of an
mm,
international body and to have the ICIRTT being established is an attempt, of course, to firstly to unify all the practitioners of Ifa Orisha, right? And one of the things that we have learned from the ICIR itself is that the organization is not only for Ifa practitioners and Orisha practitioners. The organization is open to persons of any religious persuasion who would respect and abide by the rules of the
mm,
ICIR. Okay? There are some people who do not agree with that position and have a position that this should be only for people who are involved in IFA. I am making it very clear to you what you need to do for those who have a different view is take some time off and study the ICIR constitution and become familiar with what are the conditions for membership. Right now, one of the reasons why the ICIRTT could work very much hand in hand with the ICIR is because, particularly in Trinidad, we have a lot of diversity of practices of African tradition. And our aim in modeling the ICIRTT after the ICIR is to have an opportunity to bring all of our people together so that we can work together to accomplish the things that we need to accomplish. All
Well,
right.
uh, well, Baba, what you have just outlined there is what would have been in resolution, which is Article 1 of the Constitution.
Yes, Baba, but you see again,
There's also the
we
membership.
yeah, but we now are going to have to read it out because what
Yeah.
I'm saying to
Well,
you, there are a lot of persons who speak on these things
mm,
and they really haven't taken the time
yeah.
off
Yeah.
to study the
And,
document. So us giving an expose this
all right.
afternoon by actually reading the document
And that
would
that is very
allow
yes.
would allow some of the people who do not know to
Mm,
actually have an idea
mm,
what it is we are attempting to do and what we are doing that is consistent with the ICIR, the
mm.
international body.
Right. And this is important. That's saying now in terms of every society really grows in a positive light because of the education they have. You know, America became powerful because Americans always understood their constitution. So any problem they will tell you, my Fifth Amendment or my First Amendment or whatever, and they would go into that. I would read the Article 1 resolution which speaks of having firmly resolved to work towards the development of Ifa religion with a view to contributing our quota to the progress, unity, and dignity of Trinidad and Tobago, our homeland, and of the human race at large. We, the members of the International Council for Ifa Religion Trinidad and Tobago chapter, do hereby ordain and adopt the following constitution. So remember, we're talking about those of the religion, those of our country, those of our nation and the world and the human race. So it really opens up that IFA is bigger than everybody. Let me say IFA is just bigger than everything. So we can't say we could keep it for ourselves and rise, because even if those who would want to negate and say who should be and should not be, they really don't even understand IFA itself before they even could even go into the constitution.
Well, Baba,
Yeah.
from what you read with
Mm-hmm.
the preamble sort of give a general idea of
Mm-hmm.
why we practice what we practice, where it come from, what it is about, and it talks about the spread of Ifa all over the world, you know, and we talk about the fact that it is a very old system.
Mm-hmm.
It is a system that is as old as humanity itself. I can remember 2 shows ago where we were looking at what is our population,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we came to the understanding that IFA is a universal thing. And
Mm-hmm.
IFA also incorporates everything in our environment,
Yeah.
the animals, the plant,
Amen.
everything.
Oh, that
Our
and that,
religion is a nature based religion, a natural religion. But let's go
yeah,
back to the
exactly.
Constitution
All
for
right.
a minute.
So what we really clarified is basically the first line in terms of being an umbrella body for practitioners of IFA. So like though is not, well, remember earlier I used to talk about the IFA cult.
Yeah,
Really
Baba,
the
that is a word you like, but you know I don't
yeah.
like that word
No,
that much.
it was really referring to those who are involved in the priest ritual, the priestly aspects of Ifa. But when they take it, they are not, they are lower still than the words of Olen Mari, which is Ifa above all. So the
No, but
second
but
one,
but then Baba, you know where you're raising there is an issue of function,
yeah, no, I just showing
right?
you.
If you're talking about the priesthood, where you're raising is an issue of function.
Yeah,
No,
right.
hold on. But we
Uh-huh.
will today,
Mm-hmm.
for like the upcoming elections, we are going to outline the titles
Mm-hmm.
and the function of each person who's going to be elected, so
Yeah,
they
yeah,
know exactly what they have to do.
we'll come to that.
All
So,
right, Baba.
so I just saying, so now Article 7B, to openly promote and propagate the teachings of Orunmila Bara Agboniregu. So it's not teaching about what is my shrine teaching or what is this group teaching or what that group teaching, but the teaching of Orunmila, the father of the wisdom of Ifa that brought Ifa to the world. So we're dealing with education, we're dealing with sociology, we're dealing with economics, we're dealing with health, we're dealing with all aspects of life to bring about the good condition will be what we supposed to be promoting. So it's not just promoting the religious aspect, but all the essences of Ifa will be promoted through the organization International Council of Ifa Religion in Trinidad and Tobago chapter. If you look at article, you want that thing on that one?
Well, Article C
Mm-hmm.
says to regulate the practice of Ifa religion in Trinidad and Tobago,
All right.
right? Which is, of course, one of the functions of the organization.
One of the functions.
One
now,
of, yes.
I think where we look at, when we speak of our marriage acts, when we talk about our funeral act, when we talk about taking our children from one stage of carrying them to the rites of passages, the necessary institutions that are supposed to really bring a progressive, positive growth in our community, it shall be regulated so there's no confusion.
But you know this is a controversial topic because there are many old shrines that do not want anyone to come and tell them what they must do or what they must practice. So I think we must be very clear on what this rule is actually saying. All right? Because this rule talk about regulating the practice of the religion of Ifa religion in Trinidad. Does that mean that if I had a shrine and I register my shrine, that I would not control my shrine no more?
No, well, you have control. But remember, how many persons who has shrines, because I did my survey, how many person who really has a shrine, running a shrine, is actually truly a priest or priestess?
All right, well then, Baba, then you bringing in a whole next conversation.
No,
hold on. But before you go further, what I want to say is this. If we have a religious organization, there would be some fundamental aspects of the practice that should be uniform throughout the country. It does not matter what lineage you follow.
What lineage, what practice.
It does not matter if you incorporate old school Orisa Trinidad practice. All of that is immaterial. What we are saying when we talk about the regulation of the practice, what we're talking about is the fundamental aspect of the practice being uniform. I want people to understand that.
But it also means that you could be officially be recognized. You know, some people just keep fees because their mother used to do it. But now you have a body where, as a registered shrine and a registered individual, you now can be you can be recognized officially.
Recognized or represented?
Well, recognized in your position as the head of a shrine, also be
represented
by your members' shrine. Your members now could come and be part and give a say. What would all you like to see within all your community or within all your shrine in terms of developing? Right? It's just to say we all have an institute to go for. If there's an issue where you're not certain about, you're sure who you could come to.
Yes, Baba, because beside all that we're reading with regulation and all of these things too, once we have a governing body, we would be able to provide guidelines and information, even for members of the public, concerning who they could go to for certain services if needed. Right? But I wanted to raise this point because this is also another very, very, very important point. Once we have a national organization, which we would have up and running for hopefully after the day of election, we have a functional executive, we will be able to properly have the Ifa Orisa community represented on a governmental level. Okay? Where there are things concerning religious programs, religious education programs, inter-religious programs, and various type of activities where our tradition is represented, we would now have an opportunity to officially place representatives who actually represent the interests of the Ifa Orisa community to
All right.
speak on behalf of the community
All right.
at that level.
All right. Because what you speak of there now is what will be in Article 7K, which will talk about to help governments formulate and adopt policies and programs related to development of Ifa religions and its community. So it is not about you just joining to be in a group separate, but a group that you have a representation, you have somebody to go to, you have people to assist you in development and growth. If now what you spoke of earlier and all to regulate, harmonize, that is indeed, and coordinate the tenets and modes of worship. Now, people, yes, have the old school, but a lot of people didn't get all the understanding of ways of the old school. So now where you have other priests and other practitioners of old school sit down collectively in one organization, they could even discuss and say, well, you know, we used to do this. Why? And somebody who would have known why could say this was because so. And so you start to harmonize the culture. So when people come into a shrine,
Baba, that has been a little peeve of mine in a kind of a way, right? Because I have always said, right, from the time I started being a member of the community, that we need, and I think we discussed this on the show too.
Yeah, we discussed it.
We need to start keeping good records of the practice. And the reason for that is so that the future generations would always have a source or a body of information concerning the history of the practice in Trinidad and Tobago that they could always refer to.
All right. Now, see what you asked there. Everything that you might have asked and suggest, it is there in the Constitution. Because Article E talks about to organize periodic conventions for the spiritual development of adherents of Ifa religion. So conventions mean we come and we sit down and we discuss, because how did we achieve the other traditions have, or I say, progress in their practice in understanding the Quran? Those in terms of the Bible, those in terms of the Vedas and everything. They just have their convention. And they will sit and go through and see, well, so after the convention, you could show about the history of when this took place. You show about when this began, and you could show why is this placed into certain scriptures. And there's a lot we could understand. And so we speak as a community. The whole idea is for us to be able to speak as a community. Not you doing one thing and I doing one thing, and then I don't understand what you're doing and I contradict it, and I don't know, you don't understand what, and then, but I would understand what you're doing, you understand what I'm doing, and there still will be harmony in our different, what they call it, the various different ways of doing things.
No, well, Baba, Article F in 7, right? In Article 7.
Well, we're doing F, yeah.
Yeah, to interact peacefully with other religions in order to foster world peace and harmonious living. Now, you just mentioned something there. You talking about harmony among your own self.
Well,
that's what we had to do first.
Right, that way you have to
think about this article.
Right.
You know?
Because when we reach it first, then we can expand. So this is why it is important that all shrines, all practitioners be a part. Even if you just be a listening part, writing a contribution, ask a question, that is all is participation. And so we could harmonize the issues. So even when there was an issue and people, what is this and why is that, then we all could come back to say, okay, this is the problem, because so, and harmoniously, we would be in agreement and not fighting over a matter. Now, also our next part that is very good in terms of to assist, like Article 7G, to assist in coordinating the building of Ifa temples. Now, building Ifa temples is one aspect, but it also means that we could work towards building and helping reconstruct shrines that have fallen away. Now, if we build in Ifa temples, we also now would have to coordinate training programs to have people who qualify to teach and operate in the temples. Not only ministers within the temple, but administrators. We have many young children, young youths with education subjects, all kind of master degree, and we now could create employment for them within the community, and they allow them to also grow in the spirituality and understanding Ifa.
Yes, Baba, agreed. Well, I see H says, right,
Mm.
to encourage and promote beneficial relationships among practitioners of Ifa religion.
Right.
Let me talk a little bit about that.
All right.
They use the term beneficial relationships,
Yeah.
right? We
All
ain't
right.
talking about one person putting down another person
No,
and
no, no.
casting shade at a person or
But
disliking a person or
I
being
dislike,
envious of a
this
person
everyone. Yeah.
or
No.
whatever
Right.
because
So
you're from a
we could
different
fix it.
lineage and there's a competition
Right.
and all that kind of
Right. So
behavior.
we could fix that when we come together in ICRTT. We could fix that because firstly, the simple aspects of IFA or share IFA. True practitioners, they know, or practitioners who know Osha Ifa today's Osha Ifa, Ifa Bao. We sit with your family, sit before Ifa, say your prayers, do your ebo, talk with your children, get the understanding. So you started to fix the community at home first. A lot of people don't do Nisa and Ifa, but Nisa Ifa could be like every 9 days, but it could be every Sunday outside of your where in the temple we sit now and get a clearer understanding of Ifa.
Yeah, but
And we
Baba,
do worship.
Baba,
Right?
Baba, you talking about with your family.
No, no,
I am talking about what that
no.
rule
Well,
is
I come in
talking
here now.
about is
Yeah,
beneficial
yeah,
relationship with
right.
fellow practitioners.
Now they are coming to there, but showing how IFA within IFA there's a tool to fix that. If people really say they want to follow IFA, so you had the Nissan IFA 9 days, or you could do every 7 days, where we could do like every Sunday go to church. Now remember, every 5 days you're home with your family. Every 9 days you go to church, or every 7 days go to church. Go to your temples, go to your palace, go to your place of worship, and share the wisdom of Ifa. Every 16 days, all who has Babalaos, Awos, what that, or has in community should have their Itadogum. What is Ifa
Yeah, but
expected of us in this 16
all
days?
right, Baba. Well, here what?
Uh-huh.
I personally believe as long as we get past this election
Mm-hmm.
and we put a basic functioning executive in place, and then we work out the details about the various regions,
Yeah.
then the things you talking about having the
Mm.
Tarago and having these different
Yeah. It
activities
could come in.
would be able to fall in place
Yes.
because we will know all who fall within a certain district.
All
We
right.
will know who are the Babalaos in this district. We will know who are the heads in this district, and then things could be coordinated for them to get together for these
Mm-hmm.
festivals, which I think is the next rule
The next
in
role
Article
after,
7 that we're going to meet.
right. So I'm
All right,
saying in terms of
but
dealing
let
with
me
that
talk about
pandemic.
beneficial relationships among
Right.
fellow practitioners.
Right.
Because I am saying to you,
Mm.
I have been working at least for the last 3 years on the issues of
Mm.
unity. Videos and all of that came last year with
Yeah.
an appeal to the elders and to the leaders for unity. I've had videos on business. I've had videos talking about susu.
Mm.
So all of these things would qualify as what is referred to as having beneficial relations. Beneficial relations doesn't only mean sitting to discuss Udus and SAIFAs. It
Mm.
doesn't only mean
No.
having a language and a culture class. It doesn't only mean just coming together and having a general meeting. This also talks about things such as community outreach. It
Mm.
talks about having activities for young people. It also talks about having women, I don't want to use the word fellowship, but egbe, you know,
Yeah.
where the women could come together, where mothers could come together, where single female members could come together, where the men could come together also for meetings, for egbe, having, these things on a local level. It doesn't have to
Mm.
be a national event. It could be
Local.
regular local meetings, if it's once
Mm.
a week or twice a month or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? But again, many of these things are going to be addressed after we have a national executive
Master executive.
and then we work out the
Yeah.
regional
Yeah.
divisions for having
When those.
um
Right.
What you refer to as a community congress, the Constitution also speaks of it.
Right.
The
Because,
next one up,
right.
on Article 7 is to support
Aye.
and hold and coordinate regular religious festivals. Well, you know we ain't had no problem with that one.
No. But
But
in
we
terms
just
of,
have festival for
we
so.
have it right too. But I think we need to know, I think as a organized group, we'll get people who really understand in putting together festivals. I think we could get something that would be more educational, more economically beneficial, because if we really look, we have to be able to sustain ourselves also as a community. And we have to see how do we build a wealth capacity. Watching Carnival. Carnival is a multi-million dollar program.
Okay, Baba, but hold on. Before you even reach Carnival, right?
Festival.
Let's talk about the festivals because I want to shed a little light for members of the community to pay attention to what it is
Uh-huh.
I'm saying. When we have festivals, we use the candle.
Mhm.
Some of us, because some shrines don't
Some, yeah,
use
they
too
are
much
using
of it.
candles.
You use alcohol, you use tea,
Mm.
you use palm oil, you use OB, a long list of things that we use. Now, have we discussed the possibility that we could supply some of these things
Mm.
between ourselves collectively,
Mm.
where we don't have to go outside to
Mm-hmm.
purchase these articles that are needed for all festivals,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, SNTI, all the different rituals and ceremonies we have, our supplies. Why don't we foster some sort of production among practitioners so we don't have to look outside for these supplies?
All right. And that's why I say there is an economic wealth also that could help sustain the community because we have talented people. We have people, artists who, if they really get into it, they could explore wider versions within the art and craft, right? And there's plenty. So, and then when we look at J, because now we are just looking at aims of the objectives right now, eh? And look how far we realize, hey, there's plenty thing to get involved here. So when we look at G, to publish pamphlets, periodical journals, textbooks, and other publications on Ifa religion.
Yes, Baba. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to get involved in these things. Now,
No,
I wanna let me just go
yeah,
in there a little bit, right?
yeah.
Because I want to talk about a couple of things. Okay, there are many individuals in the community who stress the importance of having a Baba Ifa. Now, I believe it's important too,
Mm,
right? For you to learn, you must be under a qualified teacher.
mm,
Now, if you are following a particular lineage, it would make sense for you to fall below the people who are in the positions of authority in that particular
mm,
lineage. Okay? However, this is the part that I need to emphasize for some of the people to
mm,
understand. Being under a Baba Ifa is an excellent way to learn. But there are also other qualified persons, like the head of your shrine, who can also teach you a lot. Beside that, being under a teacher or a tutor is not the only way that a person learns. You can learn from reading, you can learn from observation, okay? And because we now live in the modern age with the communication and the technology that exists, from Trinidad, a person could communicate on a regular basis
mhm,
with a person in the father or motherland, whichever way you choose to call it. And even if it is not your Baba Ifa, there are qualified people that you can verify their qualification and you could also learn from them. The problem I feel personally from some of the things that I see happening
Mm.
is when you have individuals who are learning under Baba Ifa of a particular lineage, and you have people in other shrines learning from other Baba Ifas under a particular other different lineage, it brings about a great measure of indifference. I don't want to use the word confusion,
Yeah.
but in indifferences.
Yeah.
So sometimes you may visit a shrine and you may make a pronouncement that is not consistent with the teaching of that particular shrine. And of course, you're going to meet some very harsh reactions for that. This sometimes creates a certain amount of disunity among the practitioners in Trinidad. So therefore, I am appealing to all of the practitioners, despite your lineage, there is a lot of common, basic, fundamental Ifa teaching. Why not emphasize on the things that bind us together instead of focus on the things that takes us apart? Which is sometimes, to me, the most petty arguments that I just meet sometimes and even hear. And I forever say this one, and I'm going to say it now because you notice I'm a little passionate about it. Every person's destiny is not the same.
Sure.
So therefore, the path that a person has to pass through to fulfill their destiny would not be the same for 2 or 3 individuals. So sometimes persons who make criticisms need to be very, very mindful of that before they take the time off to look at other people and to make harsh criticisms, which a lot of times are unwarranted because you are unfamiliar with the details of the person's journey. You are unfamiliar with the people who takes the time off to teach the same individuals you might be criticized.
Yeah.
Or you may not be aware of who they are learning from or how they are learning. Okay,
Well,
because beside the things that I spoke about, there are also individuals who are spiritual, who receive inspiration and who receive guidance from their ancestors, in addition to all that I've already said.
so as in terms of what you said, I would like to take a little piece from Osameji. Osameji speaks of the hawk has one wisdom, the falcon possesses one knowledge, one in your mind, one in each our mind. These were declaration of Ifa Torimila when going to enter into a covenant with the witches of Moriri. They asked him why he was doing this. He said it was for his life to be perfectly organized. So for us to be organized, we have to be able to see the wisdom also in another person's wisdom or somebody else's understanding, rather than just try to base it on what we know. And this is why, in terms of why we have to have conventions, we have to have publications, we have to have discussions, we have to have a collective understanding of Ifa and it's holistic. Because if you know one part and I know one part and we share it, we will know two parts each and we can know more. So this now, so come back to now, remember K, we say to help governments formulate and adopt policies and programs.
But Baba, let me just add something before you go on to that one.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of what you just said, right? Now, you would notice that in the fatherland or motherland, depending on which one you choose to call it, whenever a dafa is done, how many babalaos normally sit around that mat?
Well, it'll have many. Sometimes some places you may see 1 or 5 or 10. But
right? But there are rules.
There are rules.
And what I'm saying, when people come together collectively, they are able to benefit more.
Real benefit.
When one Babalao recite one verse, the other Babalao would recite another verse.
So that's it.
The
When
other
you
Babalao would recite another verse. So collectively, we benefit the most when ideas come together.
Yeah.
All right, Baba, go ahead and
right.
do
So now that's what I say. So as you look at K, Article 7K, to help governments to formulate and adopt policies and programs relating to the development of Ifa religion. Yeah, unless we don't have it together, how could we go to ask for government policy to get together? So we have to be able to speak in one voice. So when we say we want this, somebody else go say they want that, and then we argue who to listen to. Remember last meeting, I had was to remind people when we were looking for the holiday coming together, Patrick Manning told the elders all they try to organize, because when one visit him Monday, somebody else visit him Tuesday, then somebody else send up something Wednesday, and then he say, hey, all they come, all they organize. Just last 2 years, there was a discussion, and some people visited the now Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines, and he was making the same pronouncement to them. All you need to organize. So now we are making that nobody is telling ICIRTT to organize, but we ourselves is telling us, hey, let us organize. But in organizing, there are those to lead, there are those to come in and join, and there are those who to try to become better leaders than who are here leading now. Not because whoever get elected now we supposed to sit down with who there and say, well, that is it. Join, be part, show that you could bring about some better. So when time for next election, say, we want this one here, and this one we would like to be in the leadership, right? So when we put people to speak to the government, we want to be able to speak in one voice. Ifa says, the community of Ifa wish to achieve this, and we want to discuss this policy with you without a contradiction from no other group. So when we look at now Article 7J, as L, sorry, to cooperate and work with other allied religious institutions for the progress of the human race. So now we expand, and we are collaborating. We opening our doors to collaborate. Remember, there was a big collabo with Lakshmi Oshun. So there's a collaboration. But now we're talking about having a proper, structured, organized collaboration with other groups, and not just some collaboration that to create chaos amongst our community.
Noel Baba, I think this article is clear, and it should remove a lot of controversy that is being created in the community and the stir about if you have to be an Ifa expert or an Ifa priest in order to be on the executive to represent your ideas concerning Ifa.
Right.
That is not what the organization is about. There is nothing wrong with a Babalawo or an Ifa priest or somebody who is versed in the knowledge of Ifa being a part of the organization or even being an executive member. The organization is not averse to that. But we want people to understand that this is not an organization for only Babalawos.
No.
Or only Ifa experts.
Only Ifa, no.
No, this is not what this is. This organization will also be incorporating the other people who practice African traditions and anybody else for that matter who is willing to follow
in line with the precepts
of the ICIR.
Yeah.
Whether it be the international one or the TNT branch. So for those who are of that opinion, please take the time off and study both constitutions.
All right. Now, when we go to Article 7M, which was to support financially and materially any program that is aimed at developing Ifa religion.
Well, I think Baba, I mean, I don't know if I can't say nothing again on that subject. Because trust me, I've made at least 5 or 6 videos addressing that. Right? And you know what? I wasn't no part of the steering committee at that time. Them thing was done since last year.
Since last year. And I'm saying this is what we need to at least pay attention to. But also, you know, we have to trust somebody. Trust a group, trust an organization that you can say you want to make an investment. You want to make an investment, either one of the projects. You want to make an investment in contributing a piece of land for a headquarters. You want to make an investment in terms of giving 2 chairs that they can put in an office, a contribution materially or financially. Do all you have a light bill to pay? Making a contribution. Now, it is not just about putting money towards you. The investment is your investment. When you drive
Baba,
to Trinidad and Tobago,
Baba, let me
now
let me
that's it.
let me let me let me let me be
Yeah,
a advocate for some kind of thing here. Let me ask you something.
yeah.
If I had land
Mm,
and I want to contribute it to something, and I see the people there organized, and the people don't know what they're doing, and the people always fighting and always pulling down one another, you think I
mm.
won't volunteer my land for them to do
That's it.
anything with
Take
my
back your
land?
land. Take back your land.
Right? So I just saying that simply to
Yeah.
say, maybe now that we
Mm,
putting together a national umbrella organization,
mm,
maybe now that we having an election and we're going to have a functional executive,
mm.
maybe now that we're going to have everything divided up into
Yeah.
regions and have regional Congress
Mm,
leaders and all of these things, then maybe
yeah.
people might be more inclined to
Inclined
make
event.
those
No,
contributions.
and that's what I'm saying. Now we are, 'cause remember, if you look at all that the ICRE in terms of aim and objective, where we reach now is saying no, you see something that there is positive that I can make a contribution to. Now we could go on to N chapter, right? N Article 7N
Mm.
to support and carry out all other activities which are consistent with or which the chapter considers capable of promoting its interests and objectives. This is what we are doing here, giving clarity. We're not talking out our head, we're at least expounding on the Constitution. We are promoting the idea of ICR. We're giving clarity as to who, what, and where about this organization. And this is what we need to be doing. Marketing. And as I always tell people, Jesus was given to me freely. And when I went to secondary school, they paid me $5 to stay with Jesus because they gave me a blue testament and a blue bank book with $5 in it. Yeah. So what are we doing to market IFA even to the children who are in the schools? What are we doing to promote IFA to those who seeking for something better? What are we doing to bring about a better change in our community? So when you say Ifa Orisa community and there's power in the tradition, there's power in Ifa, but power comes with responsibilities. Power comes with certain behavior. Omoluabi, who want to stop with Iwapele, we go stop by Iwapele. Okay, power comes with good character. Because they say if you are Iwapele, you have good character, you can sit at the feet of Olodumare. You have Iwapele, good character, you can sit at the feet of kings. You have Iwapele, good character, doors will open for you. All right? So it is something, yes, it have some fellas who doing wrong, some ladies who doing bad. There's some things that need to correct. But if there is no institution or no governing body in which you could come and bring the issues to, then you'll always have the issues. So we are
Baba,
saying we have an
Baba,
issue there.
we have a minute and a half. Eh? We already do
All right.
ours so
So
quick. Well, at least we completed all the
we
Article
went through all
7.
the articles of, but in terms of now the idea where most people are saying this supposed to be a thing for babalawos and initiates, I think people have to understand, no, it's not. There is a committee, or should I call it the council? There's a council of spiritual elders. This is where all senior priests and people with titles in the priesthood will be in that council to deal with religious and spiritual matters concerning the tradition. There's the Congress, which will be representatives from the different areas. Then there will be the board of directors. This is like the executive which you are electing to do the administrative things that need to be done. Right now, I saw Inchan Ismail, I calling his name live. Inchan Ismail, where the piece of space where he has, he's expanding. And looking at the construction work, either they're going to build a big temple or they're going to put a mall in where he's expanding in a space. And if we go back in our not, let me say, governmental history, our history in relation with the government of Trinidad and Tobago, there's a piece of land that was also given to the Risha movement close to the Diwali Nagar, close to the Islamic community of Trinidad and Tobago. Somewhere right around there, we not even building nothing. The Diwali Nagar has built a whole university in their space and expanded it. The Muslim community has also built their food court and expanding it to other things. And so we need to first have an administrative body, a board of directors who's not only dealing with religious issues, but those issues, finance, security, sustainability.
All right, Baba, we'll have to continue this
right
next Friday.
So next Friday we should be identifying those who are nominated, so people could give moral support.
No. The executive wouldn't be elected yet by next Friday. The 18th, I believe, is the election.
Oh, shucks. I'm rushing the date because I'm waiting for the thing. But I would like to endorse that all members and practitioners find out from your elders if they are aware of the ICIR International Council of Ifa Religion Trinidad and Tobago chapter. If they are registered, ask how you as a member could be more involved. And if they are not, ask them if they would be interested, and they could find out how they can get registered, and members can be part of the International Council of Ifa Religion, and they could get all the details as to what, where, how, and when. So again, till we meet again for another discussions on Green Network. I Awo Iwalewa Daniel John Baba Melo with Ifa Bemiro at the phone show Orisha Bemi. Say have a pleasant weekend and like, share, and or subscribe.
Share, like, and subscribe.
And
right? With that, we will say Odabo and see you next Friday.
Next Friday. That's it.
Okay.